It's being billed as the longest urban whitewater course in the world, and it's about to officially open. How it all got started.
We're on your side telling you how to maximize your whitewater experience before and after you make the run down the river. Our town, Columbus, starts now.
The News 3 60th anniversary tour officially drops anchor right here at the Columbus Riverwalk as we get ready to mark the historic opening of Whitewater. Good afternoon. We thank you for trusting News 3. I'm Phil Scoggins.
And I'm Teresa Whitaker. It all gets underway. The official opening of Whitewater Columbus happens tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, we're going to walk you through several aspects of this project. We're going to take you through the historic, give it to you in a historic perspective, taking you all the way back to the 70s, because this has been a lot of years in the making, right?
It sure has. It wasn't just a few years ago that this idea got underway. We'll talk about that, and also Mayor Teresa Tomlinson is here to give us her perspective on the future for Whitewater, what that means for Columbus, and her other impressions of things that are going on this particular weekend. But meanwhile, as you just referred to, it's been decades since this idea, the germ of it, first got started. I recently sat down with John Turner. He is the chairman of the River Restoration Committee. And he told me some ideas about the germination of this thought of having whitewater on the Chattahoochee River sailing right through Columbus and Phenix City. I sat down with him recently, and here's what he had to say. John Turner has been immersed in the Whitewater project over 15 years. He's quick to deflect credit for the concept. Turner says the original idea came from local outdoorsman Neil Wickham and his sidekick Joe Smith back in the 70s.
They were the first to really recognize that hidden behind these dams had to be some pretty powerful rapids.
In the late 90s, Rick McLaughlin visited Columbus. He's one of the designers of the Olympic whitewater course on the Ocoee River in Tennessee. He and fellow designer John Anderson were impressed with what they saw here.
And it was right down there on the Riverwalk, and they turned to each other and they said, the Olympics should have been here.
They recognized the whitewater potential locked behind the dams, but they also loved the flow of the river between two cities, with all of the amenities needed to host a world-class event.
They were also the first to help us understand that these dams had really served their purpose. So as a community, I'm not sure we ever really had a choice but to do this project.
It's been just over a year since the Eagle and Phenix Dam was breached, giving us our first glimpse of the whitewater to come. The results have not disappointed Turner.
Some of the experts that have come and experienced these rapids since the dam was blown have used words like, you can't go anywhere south of West Virginia in the Gauley River and experience this kind of whitewater.
The wave shaper that was embedded in the river to create a continuous wave has not been a disappointment either.
We felt like we wouldn't live up to the promise of the project if we didn't have one truly reliable and spectacular feature. The kind of place where you could host a world championship of kayaking. We've been talking about the possibility that a surfer could get out in the Chattahoochee River and surf at that wave shaper. Well, that happened last week.
The price tag for this whitewater project is $24.4 million. It breaks down like this: $5 million from the city of Columbus, $5 million also from the Army Corps of Engineers, $500,000 from Phenix City, the rest from corporate and private donations.
Now, you've had the opportunity to actually ride the rapids.
You go to places like Six Flags and other places that have a whitewater experience, nothing like what going down the Chattahoochee River was like, and it was only partially open. This was back maybe about 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking for that rush, that thrill of going down the river, I promise you, you won't be disappointed, and a lot of folks are going to experience that tomorrow.
And it looks like the weather is going to be perfect.
I'll tell you, you can't get a more glorious start to the Memorial Day weekend. Let's head over to Bob Jeswal for our first look at that forecast.
You know, guys, Phil and Teresa, what makes us so spectacular, we have camera views all over the place. We're going to take you to Phenix City, a live view, looking right over here at the Phenix and Eagle Mill where we're standing right now. So if I turn, I can even wave. Jesse Mitchell is controlling that shot. On the other bank, I could see her over there, waving over there. Isn't that a beautiful shot? Hey, Jesse. So you could get a good idea how vast this is, as Phil just pointed out. And Teresa, it's spectacular. The sound you're hearing behind me, it doesn't even add anything here live on TV. Getting down here is amazing. Let's take a look at the temperatures that are perfect today. It's May. Come on, end of May, Memorial Day weekend. It should be in the mid-90s. We're talking about temperatures in the 80s right now, which makes it feel really good. We were in the low 80s here earlier. Now we're looking at temperatures that have been kind of hanging in the mid-80s, some areas in the upper 70s to near 80 now in LaGrange. So it's a good day temperature-wise. The winds, that tells a whole nother story. Love to talk to the Whitewater rafters to see if this has any effect on what they're doing today. The winds have been from the north-northwest, just under 20 steady to 16 here locally. But as we get into tonight, the winds will subside. We'll talk more about that coming up. But your forecast is fabulous, as you can see this evening. So we're going to enjoy a good night. Back to you, Phil and Teresa.
A lot of folks anticipating tomorrow the official opening of Whitewater Columbus.
That's going to take place at 10 o'clock in the morning, of grand opening ceremony right here on the river at 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Folks are going to be having the dragon boat races. You might have seen some images of those in the Ledger-Inquirer. You got about 8 or 9 people on each side of the boat, and fascinating experience. That's going on most of the day tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. 8 p.m. tomorrow night, Mark Farner is going to be playing for the grand opening of Whitewater. All these events coming up tomorrow. A grand weekend planned.
Joining us now is Mayor Teresa Tomlinson of Columbus. Thank you so much for joining us here on the banks of the river.
Well, it's so great to be here. Isn't it magnificent? I mean, it really is.
I got a question for you. Have you been down the river yet?
Yes, sir, I have.
What about the experience?
It was tremendous. I have to say it was a really intense outdoor experience. So you're going to be able to enjoy the river, even if you're here just to go down in your floppy hat and have a nice, relaxed, layback time, or if you're one of those adventure seekers, you're going to be able to really enjoy it as well. So, yeah, it's phenomenal. And we've had people coming, even when it was still under construction, coming from North Carolina, Virginia, certainly North Georgia, all over the region, while there were still cranes in the river. And that tells you that we're going to be pulling people from all over the country.
Mayor Tomlinson, one of the questions that's been bandied about in our newsroom concerns, the safety of the Chattahoochee River in terms of water quality. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, well, now, water quality, a couple of things. The EPD, of course, measures our water quality, and we measure our water quality monthly. We have the Columbus Water Works, of course, that measures that and keeps track of things. And we're actually doing very well and have been doing well for quite some time, so it's not a concern at all to us. Atlanta spent a couple of $1 billion to treat their water. That's helped us a lot. But also we have taken measures here that help the water quality. So we've come a very long way.
All right. As the mayor, we're ping-ponging here.
Yes.
As the mayor of Columbus, you have to have given a lot of thought to the impact that this project is going to have on the city and the surrounding area. Your impression?
Well, Phil, it's a whole new era, first of all. I mean, this is our future. This is, the mills lasted almost 100 years. This is going to last us almost 100 years until the next big thing. This is going to be something that not only brings hundreds and hundreds of jobs eventually, we're expecting 700 jobs in the short term as a result of this, millions of dollars, and hundreds of thousands of people come and participate and spectate. So it's going to create businesses, add to our quality of life, and just create a whole new Columbus, Georgia.
Very quickly, it's that time of year where we talk about budget. You guys are crunching the numbers.
Yes,
just quickly, what do you think the impact's going to be on the citizens in terms of some of the cuts?
I'll tell you, Teresa. Well, the impacts, it's going to be, it is going to affect services, though mildly. I think we were able to very prudently cut back. So instead of maybe one day, it might take it 3 days to get a response to something. But we're going to try to still continue to provide that extraordinary level of service. Hopefully catalysts such as this will start bringing in the revenues, and we can return back to the way it's always been and the extraordinary level of service people expect.
Right. So. Mayor Teresa Tomlinson of Columbus, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate you being with us. And of course, here right on the banks of the Chattahoochee below the Eagle and Phenix, a lot of other news going on today.
And for that, we go to the newsroom and Sarah Panko.
Thank you, Phil and Teresa. More than 3,000 people turned out for a graduation and wreath-laying ceremony at the National Infantry Museum. Graduation included 3 basic training companies from the 198th Infantry Brigade. A wreath was laid at the parade field to honor the soldiers who have died in defense of our country.
Oh, it's a beautiful day, really, for all the fallen heroes before me. I just hope to continue their legacy.
More than 1 million soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice are buried in cemeteries across the world. The man charged in the fatal shooting of a local Christian radio DJ has pled guilty. Our media partner, the Ledger-Inquirer, reports that Ricardo Strozier will spend his life behind bars with no possibility of parole. Ricardo had faced the death penalty in the murder of 25-year-old Heath Jackson. Investigators say Jackson interrupted a burglary at his home near Lake Bottom Park in 2010, and Strozier followed Jackson as he ran and shot him in the back. In court this morning, family members said that Jackson would have wanted them to forgive Strozier, so they have. Authorities say 16 people were hurt after a crash involving a hotel shuttle bus and a tractor trailer near Atlanta's airport. The crash happened this morning on a road that loops around the airport. Authorities say it appears the shuttle struck the side of a tractor trailer that was attempting a U-turn on the divided road. The driver of the bus suffered multiple broken bones, but police say none of the injuries are life-threatening. Both runways at Europe's busiest airport are open again after being shut down earlier today when a British Airways jet made an emergency landing. The plane developed a technical problem after takeoff. Footage showed smoke streaming from one of the engines. Officials say passengers were evacuated safely from the plane. We're learning more details about a bridge collapse that has forced the closure of a major highway north of Seattle. 3 people are recovering after their cars plunged 25 feet into the river below. An 18-wheeler carrying drilling equipment hit an overhead bridge girder, causing it to collapse. Officials say it could be weeks before travel returns to normal. Well, those are some of the day's top stories. Let's go back out to Columbus for our special Our Town broadcast with Phil Scoggins and Teresa Whitaker.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Still ahead on Our Town Columbus, everything you need to know to get ready for your whitewater experience.
And we will get some expert advice from the outfitter that is booking all kinds of trips down the Chattahoochee for whitewater. Our Town Columbus is coming right back.
Welcome back to Our Town Columbus. I'm Teresa Whitaker, joined by my colleague Phil Scoggins here. Now, Phil, we've already been told hundreds of folks have already made their reservations for tomorrow's kickoff to run the rapids down what is being built, and we can't say it enough, the longest urban whitewater course in the world.
And all we don't need is for the weather to make any waves for us. We're heading over to Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswal for that Memorial Day weekend forecast. Bob?
Phil and Teresa, we don't have to worry about that this weekend. Fortunately, this is good news. As a matter of fact, we go live right now on the banks of the Chattahoochee. We're thinking of whitewater today, right? But it brings back so many people, the spectators and fishermen like this, what you see right now. This is a live picture. And the catch you get, is incredible. I hear the fish are biting. It's the way it was meant to be. More than 150 years ago, before the mills started putting the dams up. So now that the dams have been breached, we got ourselves a nice venue here, no doubt about it. Just ask the fishermen, right? So our temperatures today affected by the weather. We take a look at high pressure stretch all the way up from Canada, all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And this weather pattern has been real conducive to having a nice forecast that we could say with accuracy, no worries when it comes to any rain. The cooler, drier air in place. As a matter of fact, tonight, the record low is 51. If we hit 51, we tie a record low. So what we're looking at is readings that are going to cool down, but we don't think it's going to be near record, just near record cool readings. But tomorrow when whitewater officially is open to the public, you got a great day in store. Let's just take a peek and show you what we're talking about here. Of course, in the morning, we see the sun, 53. And look at us at midday, cooler than average early, but at midday, we're already seeing readings in the 70s. It's going to be beautiful in the mid-70s here. And we'll probably top off to about 84, 85 degrees, pleasant conditions. Oh, by the way, no wind to worry about. And we have the Dragon Boat Race starting off at noon tomorrow. down near Dillingham, and we'll see our PMB friends and much more down there. You don't want to miss that either. A lot of events tomorrow, too. So a pleasant start to the weekend. It's your Memorial Weekend, and thank you to all those who have served, who are serving, and those who have passed and have served, and thanks to all the folks who supported those who served. And look at this. Could it get any better with upper 80s? Typical for this time of year, but you notice one thing's for certain. Phil and Teresa pointed out, no rain. The forecast is right in line. So we are doing fantastic. A perfect setup for something that couldn't be any better than this, Phil and Teresa. I mean, the weather without a hitch.
All right, thank you, Bob. So, Teresa, we've got beautiful weather, gorgeous river. All we need to set the mood is some great music.
All right, you hear that noise in the background? That's going to be the Carver High School Pep Band and Tigerettes. They've been all over the Southeast. They've won several awards. And so as we go into the bank, look and listen.
Our Town is brought to you by Eagle and Phenix, an epic restaurant.
Welcome back to Our Town Columbus. I'm Teresa Whitaker.
And I'm Phil Scoggins. Teresa, when it comes to how many folks is this going to draw, the officials are saying that Whitewater should attract about 190,000 people a year.
And of those 190,000 people a year, some could be experts, some could be amateurs, but whoever you are out there, News 3's Jesse Mitchell is going to give you some advice on how to maximize your whitewater experience.
Interested in getting out there on the water but don't know the first thing about whitewater rafting? Maybe the thought of braving those rapids is just plain terrifying. Don't worry, there are plenty of ways to enjoy the river without much risk. The 2.5-mile whitewater course is one of the most diverse in the country, and it's designed to cater to all skill sets.
So they built it to be safe, but it has giant water, and giant water means giant waves, and that's just more fun.
The state-of-the-art wave shaper changes the flow of the river throughout the day. During the earlier part of the day, it's set to low flow at 800 cubic feet per second, an exciting but safe ride for beginners.
So the wave shaper is a perfect place for somebody who they're not sure of their skills yet, they're still developing them. They can put in the eddy above the wave shaper and run down through it, and even if they flip over and swim, they float down to the stairs and they take out and come up and try again with very little consequence.
But like any new enterprise, you have to know the rules.
To think that you can go get a raft and some guys and just jump in this and be prepared is probably foolish.
While the river is designed to be safe, there are still rocks and quick water to watch out for. You should always wear a helmet and a Type 5 personal flotation device.
Type 5 is a type that has a collar behind your head so that even if you're knocked unconscious, it holds your head up out of the water.
And for the less adventurous, a swim in the habitat pool introduces you to the local wildlife.
In traveling other rivers in the southeast or the east, you just don't see this much wildlife. When you're out on this river, I've been amazed. I mean, when you're swimming down the habitat, through the habitat pool, there's turtles. As you go downstream, turtles are swimming underneath you upstream. It's a really cool experience.
Even if you're spectating on the riverbank, it's important to be cautious.
People that are coming down here, they just need to make sure that they think smart, and for small children, always be accompanied by an adult and follow all the rules that you would typically follow when you're around water.
Now, you can go down the river on your own for free, but the startup costs for the proper safety equipment are going to run you about $1,800. Or you could take a ride with Whitewater Express. Their low-flow daytime trips start at $32.50 a person, and the quicker evening rides are $48.50 a person, but that includes 2 trips. Also, kids have to be 7 years or older or over 60 pounds to enjoy that low-flow daytime ride, or over 12 years old to enjoy the evening ride. As we told you earlier, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on down here this weekend, so you can come out and watch the Dragon Boat race or maybe catch some fireworks tomorrow evening. On Evening Edition, we're going to take you down the Whitewater course, so come and join me for a ride along. Back to you, Phil and Teresa.
All right, thank you, Jesse. And our town, Columbus, just keeps on rolling down the river.
Let's hear some more from the award-winning Carver High Pet Band. We're coming back in about 30 minutes with Our Town Columbus. Going to take a look at tourism.
Also the environmental impact, and also Raptor's eye view of Jesse Mitchell's trip down the Chattahoochee. Bob?
All right, Bob, quickly.
Okay, we're looking at a great night. I mean, temperatures are going to still be in the 80s here, upper 70s. And before you know it, Phil and Teresa, we're going to see another beautiful day. The weekend is fantastic. More on that coming up.
All right, now the Carver Pet Band.